A little backstory: when I first started having sex I researched into ways to be better as I was a little stiff and pretty much had no idea what I was doing. I read online that you can play music and match the rhythm in order to put on a better performance. I searched love-making songs and started slowly creating a playlist in which I was comfortable matching the rhythm. There are a few songs to my playlist. However, there is one song in particular, which actually happens to be my favorite, that my girlfriend hates and says turns her off in a major way. I don't understand why it has taken her 2 years to tell me she hates that song. It's a good love-making song with good rhythm. I feel the way I fucked up is I could have possibly asked her previously if she likes the playlist or any songs she'd like to add, change. But to leave it for 2 years thinking our sex life is great but in her eyes has just been ruined by my music has left the whole situation feeling awkward and I'm a bit annoyed. I pretty much played this tune every single time, so the amount of times she must have not been enjoying it, when I thought the complete opposite is annoying but also embarrassing in ways. Not to mention my previous partners, however, they never complained about the song, so maybe it's just her? It's fucked up the relationship tbh because sex feels awkward now. The other day we were having sex with no music but I was still thrusting to the tune playing in my head. She recognized this and asked me to stop. I thought this song was perfect and I always thrust along with the tune and feel it gives me the perfect rhythm for doing the deed too. I usually bust to this song and find it devastating she hates the song. The song itself to.be web link. TL, Doctor, she hates my love making tunes and didn't tell me for over 2 years, making sex now awkward. So, the obligatory this happened before my wife recently gave birth to our second child, and hormones were off the charts. My very pregnant wife wakes up and I am already awake, having made coffee for myself and prepared tea in anticipation for a relaxed morning. I'm watching a PBS special about World War II submarines and she sat down with her tea and started to watch. So my wife isn't a huge history buff and I am constantly reminding her of the order of commonly known events. She is incredibly intelligent but she apparently had a very boring history teacher and never absorbed the information. As such, she had no idea that submarines were actually torpedo-carrying murder machines that were designed to blow up their enemies. I look at her and she's bawling, tears running down her face, and she says, "But I thought submarines were just like for exploration and fun and stuff." I chalk it up to hormones, but I really ruined a nice morning. TL, Doctor made my pregnant wife cry when she found out that submarines are war machines. Edit. Wow, went to sleep and this got a bit hairy. Thank you to those who understand pregnancy brain and found this as cute, albeit shocking as I did. No thank you to those who went straight to calling my wife horrible things or assuming anything else about her, and a big F you to those saying anything mean about my kids. Without going into much detail, yes, she had a sheltered childhood where she didn't encounter submarines all too often, in the water, on land, or in the media. I guess her parents never gave her the submarine talk. She does in fact know a lot more about the grisly details of war now, as we have been trying to get her up to date, especially about the world wars. She may have had an inkling before that submarines were evil, but I don't think it was something she wanted to hear that morning. Pretty sure she thought they were used in war, but just for spying on the enemy. Be nice, and may you all keep your heads above water. Tifu by not reading the small print on an event poster for a taco festival. And it was in another country. I'm in London, UK. I found a taco festival event online and have been hyping it up to my friends for a month. The event was a taco festival in Covent Garden Market, London over this weekend. I promised 14 different taco stalls, lucha libre wrestling, lots of different drinks and a whole load of fun. Here's where I fucked up. I proudly bring my friends to Covent Garden Market in London, UK on Sunday and begin searching for this taco festival. We can't find it. There is a distinct lack of tacos and none of the staff seem to know what we're talking about. Checking the Instagram for the event, it turns out that the taco festival was in Covent Garden Market, London, Ontario, Canada. I'm never going to live this down and have been roasted all weekend. TLDR, I hyped a taco festival event up for a month and brought friends to Covent Garden Market in London, UK. We spent ages searching for tacos. The festival was in Covent Garden Market, London, Ontario. Roasted for days by my friends. Edit, thank you for the awards. I didn't expect this to blow up. The Ontario Taco Fest was run by Stereo Calently www.instagram.com web link, who have some other cool events in the second best London. Glad everyone had a good laugh about my mistake, especially the Canadians in London, Ontario. Well, I will try to keep it short. A while ago I met this girl who I really liked. She was beautiful. I wanted to see her today, but she couldn't leave without her niece. So we made a plan that she was going to bring her niece and I bring my nephew, they are both single, to our date, so it was a double date. I asked my nephew if he was interested in joining us and he said yes, but only if the niece was also beautiful. He really insisted on this and, without knowing the niece, I told him she was gorgeous too. Well, we went to the coffee shop and sat down. After like 10 minutes they arrived. Well. My girl was really beautiful, long blonde hair, blue-eyed, skinny, curves in the right place, while the niece was, well, I don't want to exaggerate, but her face was covered with big red pimples, she had very thick glasses, one eyebrow, very hairy over her face, forehead, she was fat, no offense but like really plus-sized, and so much more. My nephew was in shock, and then this niece tried to get closer with him. She tried to hold his hand but he refused and excused himself to the bathroom. Then he came back and told me that his mother had called him and we both needed to go. The niece stood up and literally yelled at him for being rude and said we must stay. My girl needed to calm her down so we could sneak out. My nephew doesn't talk to me anymore. But I can't stop laughing. Standard, this did not happen today. Many years ago, I decided I wanted a job to earn my own money. There were, however, two problems. Firstly, my dad thought part-time jobs while in school were a distraction. Secondly, I was slightly underage, which made it illegal. Not one to be easily deterred, I set about the task anyway. I wrote a CV with an older date of birth, printed a few dozen copies, and with the deepest voice I could put on, I went about handing out my CV to shops I thought I could get a job without too much hassle. After a couple of weeks of trying this, I had success. I spoke to the owner of a little bargain-type shop. After literally a 10-minute conversation and confirming that he could only give me shifts on a Saturday or Sunday, perfect for me, he offered me the role. It was a cash-in-hand job and the manager never asked to see any identification. The next problem to resolve was my dad. I told him that studying at home was too much of a distraction. I thought the irony was funny, and that I would be able to concentrate better in the library. As it so happened, there was a large library a short walking distance from my new job. My dad agreed. The next few months went fairly well. I had more money than I needed, brownie points at home, and honestly, I thought I was a genius. Only my best friend knew of the situation. In hindsight, I am surprised the good times lasted as long as they did. For a bit of context, the UK has something called the Sunday Trading Act, 1994, which allows shops to open for business between the hours of 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. However, almost everything else on a Sunday is either closed or opens later. So, when exam season came along and my older brother decided he too better get some serious study time in, he thought to follow my example and go to the library. I had left home at 9:30 a.m., he apparently left home around an hour later. Here's my fuck up, the library does not open until 1 p.m. on Sundays. When I got home my dad and brother were waiting for me. As soon as I entered the living room my dad asked, "Where have you been?" Alarm bells started ringing in my head. The tone was wrong, the way he was sitting was wrong, my brother's smug face was wrong. This was not the welcome of a loving father, this was a judge questioning the accused. The outcome of this was going to determine if I ever breathed fresh air on a weekend again. I made a split-second assumption, they know I was not in the library, but do they know I was at work? That I have a job? I think not. I was with Dan. At his house. I lied. My dad, I do not think, actually heard my response and was already ready to blow into the speech he had prepared. You told me that you go to the library, but your brother tells me that he went to the library and it doesn't open until 1 p.m. So where have you been all of these weeks? My response then registered and his anger somewhat deflated. "What do you mean you were with Dan? Why were you with him and not at the library?" he asked. "Well, the thing is, I don't like going to the library on my own, so I first go to Dan's house and we go together. Sometimes we go for lunch first then to the library, for when it opens. Sometimes we stay at his." I was on thin ice. "And if we call Dan, he can confirm this?" my brother asked. "Lord, why did you give me siblings?" I pulled my phone out of my pocket and handed it to him. "Knock yourself out." I knew nothing short of absolute confidence was going to get me out of this. For long seconds my brother and I locked eyes. My dad broke the moment when he said, "So, you do study, just not at the library the whole time?" The truth is that parents want to believe the best about their kids. It was going to be far easier for him to believe that his son was chilling with his best friend, kind of studying, rather than believing I was up to God knows what nefarious activities in secret. Yes, I did not get to complete my sentence. A second truth is that my brother is an annoying bastard. He pressed the dial button and Dan's phone started ringing. He answered the phone. "Dan, hi, this is Adam's brother. I know this is going to be a bit odd, but were you with Adam today?" It took Dan a while to respond. "Yes, I was. Dan is a legend." "What did you two do?" "We went to the library. Need to get some revision in before the exams." "Right, what time did you get there?" There was silence and then Dan said, 10-ish I think. My head dropped. Dan did his best, but fucking library timings was something we had not thought about or ever discussed. After getting a berating from my dad and sent to my room, my dad called Dan's mom. She told him that Dan did go out to meet some friends, including me. But she was confident that he had never ever been revising in a library. She found the very notion quite funny. Dan got into trouble for lying to my dad and brother. I was grounded for a long time, which meant I had to quit my job. The only silver lining was that they never discovered I had a job and I still had money to spend over the summer. Fun side note, I was Dan's best man last month. TL, doctor, I got a job while being underage and lying to my family about it. I got caught when my weekly alibi fell apart because I was not good with the details. Edit. A word.